A draft rumor that is pretty big, and it gives you an indication of what the Lions are looking at pick 6. I do believe this rumor is for real because I've heard it multiple times already. Makes a lot of sense. The connection between this player and the Detroit Lions has been relevant for a couple of months now, and that same position too for the 6 overall pick. So we're going to go over this article. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I do 100% agree. It's real. It's not smoke. I do believe that it's a real rumor, and it's a legit target for the Lions. And when we're looking at this said position, it's probably the odds-on favorite that the Lions are going to go this route. But before we get into today's video, if you are a Detroit Lions fan and you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed, I ask why, because you might as well subscribe to this channel because you get it from a fan's perspective and a former great legendary wide receiver perspective. Without further ado, let's get this thing going. Pride of Detroit just popped up with an article, and it says that the Detroit Lions really like Texas Tech edge Tyree Wilson, and I 100% agree. I've been hearing the rumor on Tyree Wilson and the Detroit Lions for a couple of months now. They like what he brings to the defensive line, his versatility and his freakish athleticism and his size. And I do believe they want to get a compliment to Will Anderson. Absolutely no doubt that's what the Lions would like to do. And in this article, ESPN's Matt Miller states, I've heard they really like Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech, and have a high grade on him. Miller wrote, this week the Lions spent considerable amount of time and resources meeting with working out pass rushers this offseason. They'll be seeking more help on defense right out of the gate in round 1. Yep, 100% it's real. Let me know in the comment section, would you draft Tyree Wilson at pick 6? Y for yes and N for no. I do think they like Tyree Wilson. I do believe if he's available, they would draft him. I 100% agree. If you were to put him opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, you have 2 young bookend edge rushers that can get to the quarterback. And I think what's really good about Tyree Wilson is he helps stop the run as well. He can kind of fill that gap to the problems we've been having with run defense. So he's not the best pass rusher in the world. He does have a high upside due to his elite attributes, but he still needs some help in the game of sacking quarterbacks. But he's really good at help stopping the run. Like a young Trey Flowers. Not the Trey Flowers that we got here in Detroit, but he's that type of player where he's going to help stop the run. It also says in here, like I was saying, that there did a considerable amount of time of pass rushers. I think if Will Anderson is available at 6, they would take Will Anderson. I think he's most players' number 1. The interesting thing that will take place on draft day is if Seattle Seahawks have both Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson on the board. Because I do think they have a high grade on Tyree Wilson as well. And they may go that option if they're sitting at pick 5 and both is available. Because they're the same type of team that the Lions are. And I heard rumors that they do like Tyree Wilson maybe a little bit more than Will Anderson. So if they were to take Tyree Wilson at 5, the Lions have an option at Will Anderson at 6. There's no doubt. I do believe if both are there, they would go that. They would go the Will Anderson, but that is yet to be determined. If Tyree Wilson is available at 6, Will Anderson is not. I do think that's Tyree Wilson's the pick. I absolutely do. If 4 quarterbacks go in the top 4, Tyree Wilson and Will Anderson, one of these guys will be a Detroit Lion. We'll just put it that way. When I do my final mock draft, it is going to be one of those guys there. And odds-on favorite, I'm going to go Tyree Wilson because it's hard for me to believe that Will Anderson would be there at 6. I think that's more like another luck of Penei Sewell and Hutchinson falling there just because my grade is higher for Will Anderson. So we'll see. They did a lot of time on pass rushers. I'm curious to wonder what other pass rushers they did. Lucas Van Ness, I'm sure is in that mix. Nolan Smith. There's a ton of other players that they'll look into because they're talking about the round 1. And I do believe at pick 6 it's going to be an edge rusher unless they trade down. Then it maybe could be something different. If they're trade up, I do think it's an edge rusher. If they're stay at 6, I do think it's an edge rusher. If they move down, it's different. I've been saying I think it's quite difficult for the Lions to take a corner at 6. I think they'll wait a little bit for that position, maybe 18 or second round. I do believe they're going to go for pass rusher at that first selection in round 1. It just makes all the sense in the world because they've built this team through the trenches. That's what they have done. They've spent a lot of resources in the trenches, offense and defensive line. Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike. Just look at it. I mean, they really like having the trenches filled. And in free agency, obviously you get Graham Glasgow. Just something that they like. We have a great offensive line. Now, they didn't build this offensive line in all honesty. That was the previous regime. But they are a trench-first football team. So they're going to want to finish this up. And this is what I've been saying, too, as well, is just finish the defensive line. Just finish it. It's almost there. Finish it up. And then we can take resources and build the rest of the team. But we're real close to be finished there. I mean, they got Joshua Pascal, Aiden Hutchinson. They've drafted Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, James Houston, more of a pass rushing linebacker, but still someone that gets after the quarterbacks. They've put a lot of resource in that position, really close to finish it up. So if they decide to go edge rusher at 6, defensive tackle could be at 18, or round 2 or round 3. So look for that. But let me know in the comment section right now, would you like the Lions to go defensive line heavy in the draft? I think this is finally going to be completed. I think, something that we all as Lions fans have been talking about, just finish this trench. I think they're going to do that. So if you were to get a Tyree Wilson, you add him to Charles Harris, Romeo Okwara, Joshua Pascal, Aiden Hutchinson. You already have John Kaminsky. I think it would spell the end of Julian Okwara in Detroit. I think that would be over because you just can't have everybody. And Julian Okwara hasn't done a whole lot for the Detroit Lions, so it'd probably push him out and give the Lions a very good combination of veterans and young players. Because you do need some veterans out there like a Romeo and a Charles. So to help groom these young guys and the ability to learn how to practice, correct, and do the little things to become a pretty good player. Regardless of how you feel about those guys, I do think they're a good influence on the defensive line. Absolutely no doubt. I think their lack of production is just more of an injury thing, so it has nothing to do with their personality. The Lions like pass rusher. Very good. So he says here, too, as well, the owners, me, I say back at St. Louis even, I got to the point where we had plenty of strong defensive line and we had some concerns elsewhere, but we kept adding to our defensive line, Homestead, and it turned into the best beast, the strength of football team. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's what you do. You can't have enough pass rusher. You can't have enough defenders. There is nothing wrong with having waves of defenders, because this is a 4-quarter game in a 17-game season. You're going to have injuries. These big guys get tired. You want to have wave after wave. That's one thing I loved about Jim Schwartz's era in Detroit is he loved waves of defensive linemen. And that's what you have. You can't just have a couple good pieces and that's it, because the good pieces get tired out and worn down throughout a season. You got to have waves of these guys to consistently get after a quarterback on a every down basis. One get a rest, other one come in, and that's just how it works. So I 100% concur with Brad Holmes on this. Just go ahead and continue to doing that. You make a strength, offensive, defensive line. That's a damn good part of a team to have a strength. It is. Absolutely is. But we do have other parts of the teams we got to get to, and we got 9 draft picks now, so you could definitely build on the rest of it in the draft. But finish this thing off. Just get it complete so we can move to other parts of this football team, like linebacker, like just getting better at other positions of running back and wide receiver and every other position, just continue to build it up, finish the trench, good to go there. Absolutely good to go. So this is a real rumor. I know we're going to hear some BS lies going all the way up to the draft here in about 2 weeks, but this is a legit rumor. Definitely for real. 110% for real. So we'll see what continues on here with more rumors. And I just, we talk about quarterback too, because I know a lot of people say, well, we got to take quarterback early. I just don't believe they're going to do that at all. I think they do like the quarterbacks. Just give me no doubt. But CJ Stroud, the odds of him being there at 6, extremely unlikely. Or a Bryce Young, extremely unlikely. Anthony Richardson, extremely unlikely. Will Levis potentially could be there. But to me, I just don't know if he's a player I'd pick at 6. There's a lot of concerns for his game to me. When you can find I think you can find, like, if you want to go ahead and Hooker a little bit later, or if you want to go DTR in a 5th round, something like that, I think that's options that you could do for the Detroit Lions. And we'll see, but I do think edge rusher is the option for Detroit. I do. So, real exciting. We're going to find out in a couple weeks, and then we can put all speculation in, and then get ready for training camp and moving forward with our beloved Detroit Lions. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you don't miss on the latest news and rumors regarding our Detroit Lions, live every single Tuesday. And as soon as the regular season gets back on, we'll be live more. And we're going to have post-game shows like we always do. With that said, adios.